watching Lyrical Baby.
Hi everyone, it's Dutz here. Just speaking back for myself. It's Super Bowl Sunday. It's a day to celebrate the conclusion of another NFL season. It's been a strange one. I think everyone can accept that. Obviously with COVID and whatever everything's happened around the world, it's been a strange season. I didn't think we'd get to this point, but here we are. It's Super Bowl Sunday, and we should all be looking forward to a great game between two wonderful teams. But it's tinged with huge amounts of sadness, as we found out on Saturday night that Chris Wesseling of NFL.com, of Around the NFL podcast, had died after battling cancer twice. I just wanted to say a few words about what Chris meant to a lot of people, and to me in particular. Wes was incredibly generous with his time. On more than one occasion, he came on the podcast with me. I think once. I think I spoke to him by myself, and he was definitely on with me and Mains. I think twice, maybe 3 times. I'll have to look back. He was always incredibly entertaining, incredibly educational, but it never felt like we were interviewing him. It felt like we were chatting with him, and we didn't know Wes. We've read his stuff, we've heard him on other podcasts, seen him on TV, but we didn't know him. But he still spoke to us as if he was speaking to peers. Now, as Denny Carter, another friend of the podcast, says, he once asked Wes, how do you deal with online trolls? And he says, I don't tolerate fools. And he didn't. He was, incredibly. He was, a private person. He knew who he wanted in his life. He treated Twitter, he said, like his living room. He said, you want to be careful who you allow into your living room. So if you don't like these people, just block them, let them shout into the void. So the people that he did let come into his circle, even in social media and whatnot, you had to feel special, because you knew that if you were an idiot, if you were an arsehole, you were gone. You wouldn't speak to him, he wouldn't converse. And see, he let people into, you had to earn it, I think, to be into that circle. And I'm not going to say that we were, the closest friends. I'm not going to say he was my best mate, and that everything I did in my life was important to him. But for those few minutes that he was gracious enough to come and speak to me and Mainsy, it was a joy. It was, you're speaking to someone who really knew the game, loved the history of the game, and here he was chatting to, I'll speak for myself, but, 2 idiots of Liverpool, one of which the only reason he had any link to was he'd heard about the fact that I went on a podcast and declared my love for stale bread. I've been told by other people when we spoke to them on other podcasts that he found that hilarious. It really cracked him up, because he wasn't. It was when I called in on the Dave Damashek football programme. Dan Hansis and Mark Sester were on there. Wes wasn't, but he heard about it. He got back to him, and a little joke that he used to share to me was, on his birthdays or other moments when I'd pass on my congratulations and good wishes. His one line he used to use was, "Thank you, Neil. May your bread forever be stale," and that always made me chuckle. He was an incredibly talented, natural writer. Some of the things he wrote, if you look at the long-form pieces on NFL.com about the Ohio offense that we know now as the West Coast offense, you read the piece he wrote about that and Bill Walsh and how he came up with it. You read the piece he wrote about the Houston Oilers in the 70s, the Love You Blue piece. These are incredible. These are some of the best bits of writing I've ever seen about the NFL. And I do know that, Wade Phillips, when he read the bit about Love You Blue, because obviously his dad, Bum Phillips, was the coach at the time, he thought it was brilliant. And, for someone who was there firsthand to say how well he's captured everything that, he'd written about, I think that's an incredible tribute. I will miss him incredibly. Obviously, the news when he first was diagnosed with cancer, it was a huge shock. He battled it. He battled it with incredible, courage and tenacity. But you'd expect him to do that. As Mark Sessler said on the Fantasyland podcast that was dedicated entirely to Chris Wesseling, he said, "This is the baddest motherfucker on the planet," and cancer picked the wrong person to pick on. So he fought back, and he found his soulmate, Lakeisha. They got married, and they had their son Link, and Link's going to grow up without his dad, but he'll never be short of people who'll be able to tell him what a great person he was, and what a wonderful person he was, what a great dad he was in the short time he was around, and what a legacy he's left for him. So I just wanted to say, take time on this day, that we essentially celebrate the sport of football. But I just wanted to take some time to just pay tribute to someone who, over the years that I've been watching and scribbling and talking about the game, someone who's meant an awful lot to me. So I want to say that we'll miss him. We'll never forget him. Thanks very much, Wes. And we'll speak after the game. Everyone else, thanks a lot.